We're a little more than a month out from the 2024 NFL Draft, and no position dictates the draft more than quarterback. A lot of people feel a lot of different ways about this class, but I don't think you could argue the sheer amount of talent it possesses. I'm excited to give you my top prospects for this class, so let's go ahead, get this sucker started. Number 10, Joe Milton out of Tennessee, probably has the biggest cannon in this class. However, I don't think he's a quarterback at the next level. I know, we're one spot in, and I'm already saying this guy ain't a quarterback, but I think he still gets highly drafted. I have him 212 on my big board just because he's built like a unit at 6'5", 235 pounds, and nice frame, really good athlete. I love the contact balance, decent change of direction. Legitimately see him probably being a tight end at the next level, and I would love to see that position switch. That's why my comp here is Tyree Jackson. I know we're talking about quarterbacks becoming tight ends in the NFL. You want Logan Thomas, but I think athletically and build-wise, he's a little bit closer to Tyree Jackson. And I guess I should really talk about why I don't think he is a quarterback at the next level, because I think ultimately he's just not accurate. His accuracy is all over the place. And the dude's anticipation, it's just not great. You could see him be a tad late on throws, resulting in him either underthrowing receivers, throwing it behind receivers. And I mean, he was in a system there at Tennessee that creates a lot of space, and it gives him a lot of screens. I know you would go see his adjusted completion percentage, which if you're unfamiliar with that stat, essentially just takes spikes, drops, and throwaways out. That way you could get a true grasp of what his accuracy is at. It's 73%. That's not a bad number by any means, but it's inflated because of the sheer amount of screens this cat is throwing. So I'm just not sold on his ability to develop as a quarterback, and I think it would just be better we just go ahead and move him to tight ends. Number 9, I got Jordan Travis out of Florida State. Comes in a little undersized at 6'1", 200 pounds. He is a bit of an older prospect, will be 24 at the beginning of his rookie year. But like all in all, I think he's a fine prospect, just not a great one. Like, fun fact, I didn't know his brother Devin Travis played baseball for Toronto, at least for 4 seasons. That's kind of cool. But he's coming off the broken leg, and if you look back, he's actually got a little bit of an injury history to him. Like back in 2021, dealt with a shoulder injury. 2022, he had a lower leg injury, caused him to miss a couple of... No, he ended up starting all those games. He actually played through injury, but kind of see that in, like, yeah, smaller quarterback, and he gets beat up a little bit. Like, you love how good of an athlete he is, because honestly, he can literally take off whenever. But at a certain point, it's like, if you're going to play quarterback in the NFL, you got to learn to protect your body. But why I'm so much lower on him than I assume the consensus, I think they probably see him as more of an early day 3. I like him late day 3. And it's because I just don't think he's that good of a passer. Like, mechanically, he's a bit all over the place. If you like go look at his like footwork, like, you love how light-footed he is, but it also kind of results in him not always throwing from the most consistent bases. Sometimes he just kind of short arms the football and just kind of relies on the flick of the wrist, and you kind of see that ball placement suffer because of it. And I think he can throw. I think he throws with good anticipation. I think he's got a good arm. I love how cool, calm, and collected he is. Like, he never really looks panicked. A guy that will go out there and like try to go through his progressions to find that open guy, but he just doesn't always see the open receivers. He just doesn't. So I got him as Tyler Huntley light. I don't like him quite as much as I liked Tyler Huntley coming out, but I think they have very similar games. Listen, I know you love the NFL draft as much as I do, and you're gonna want a nice hefty watch list of players during this college football season. Well, go ahead, check out my draft guide. You can purchase it for only $30 by Venmoing or PayPaling me. Links in the description. It's a one-time payment and you get it for this whole draft cycle and forever and always. Technically, it's a Google spreadsheet. So send me your email when you send the payment. I'll get you hooked up. You will see my current prospect rankings and big board, my full evals. And guess what? It updates throughout the whole draft cycle. So it's a great purchase and it's a great way to support the channel. Coming in at number 8, I got Tulane's Michael Pratt coming in at 6'3", 217, and he might just have an average arm by NFL standards, but he does throw with really good touch, and he is one of the few quarterbacks in this class that attacks over the middle of the field and does it well. Like, I like how he goes through his progressions, and he just shows really good accuracy and anticipation over the middle of the field. Now, I would like to see his anticipation and overall ball placement get better on downfield passes toward the sidelines, because you want to be able to stretch the field or else defenses aren't going to take you seriously. And I think some of that kind of stems from his lower body mechanics. Doesn't always play with like a throw with a consistent base. I mean, you're going to see a lot of ducks, just wobbly passes on tape when it comes to Michael Pratt. And he also has this nasty knack of just prematurely leaving the pocket. And when he does that, because he's a plus athlete, he's able to extend the play with his feet. But when he leaves the pocket, he is almost certainly always a runner. He is not looking to pass the football. And let me tell you, he's not the kind of athlete that's gonna really make defenses scared that he's gonna burn us with his feet. He's not that guy. So you want to see him still be keeping his eyes downfield when vacating the pocket. But like, all in all, man, the dude is just a solid player, natural born leader. Like, this dude exudes confidence, and you could tell it's been contagious. Like, he's a big reason that this Tulane program has been able to turn it around. It's been a starter there since 2020. Now, I know some people are gonna look at that comp like Derek Carr. You're either gonna feel, oh, that ain't bad, or Derek Carr, oh my gosh, that's horrible. Take it as you may. I just feel like his game replicated a lot of what I've seen in the NFL from Derek Carr. At number 7, I have Spencer Rattler out of South Carolina. And honestly, the first thing we should probably talk about is the maturity. Is he still the guy that we saw from the Netflix show QB1 and that whole debacle at Oklahoma? And the easy answer is no. He has shown much more maturity since being there at South Carolina under a more disciplined coach in Shane Beamer. I heard his interviews at Senior Bowl and at the Combine went really well. There's been this big leap in maturity, so I don't think that's going to be an issue. But as things change, as do more things stay the same when it comes to what he is on the field. The dude's got a good arm. I think he's got an NFL arm. I think he's one of the more accurate passers in this class. He can make most throws. You go to his adjusted completion percentage this past year, 80%. Was among one of the highest in this class. However, still, it's a question mark if this guy can sit inside a structure and just play inside a structure. To be fair, South Carolina and the state of that offensive line there didn't really afford him much time, but it would be just nice to see if he could just sit in the pocket, go through his reads, and honestly, it's sometimes take what's given, because that's another big issue. There's a little bit of Spencer Rattler. It's better than what it was at Oklahoma, but there's still that little guy in there that's telling him, look for the big play. You will see him scramble out the pocket, and you just want him to settle maybe for easy yards. Pick up a couple of yards with your feet, because he's a capable scrambler. Or take your check down, but there's still that little bit of big play hunter in him. And which leads to, like, okay, the decision making isn't necessarily where you would want it to be. It may be better since Oklahoma, but it's not much better. He also hardly played under center there at South Carolina, mainly playing a shotgun. But I do like his willingness to throw in the face of pressure. Like, defenders could be like just right there in his mitts, and he will plant his feet and make a throw. I like that. I like that about him. At 6 foot, it's going to be tough. You know, that's sub-ideal height. But is height the word? Height, there we go. But like all in all, I think there's some stuff there that's worthy of development. I got him as backyard Baker Mayfield. I feel like that's just on point because I think these are two guys that are very accurate quarterbacks. I just think Baker Mayfield probably has a lot more zip than Spencer Rattler, but it's close. It's close. I'm actually really happy with that comp. Coming in at number 6, I have Michael Penix Jr. out of Washington, 6'2", 216 pounds, coming off a magical season where he almost threw for over 5,000 yards, had 36 touchdown passes, almost had a natty. I say almost. They weren't exactly in that game, but it was a good season nonetheless, and he throws one of the prettiest deep balls you will see in this class. He's got a big arm. Quite literally 33-inch arms, which kind of explains he's got a little bit of a elongated throwing motion and not the quickest release, but it works for him. It really does. You love how he works inside a structure, probably one of the best pocket passers in this class. And people will be like, well, he's not exactly mobile. And I tend to disagree. I think he can be mobile. It's just he uses it to maneuver the pocket. He wants to be a thrower, not a runner. And I like that. I respect that from him. However, on the throw-to-throw basis, I don't think the accuracy is exactly always there. If you're looking because let's talk about the top 6 quarterbacks in this class. We know who they are. We just don't know how I have them ranked. Talking like Drake Maye, Caleb Williams, JJ McCarthy, Bo Nix, Jayden Daniels. When we're looking at some of these accuracy stats with Michael Penix, comparing him to them, his adjusted completion percentage is last among those guys. His middle of the field accuracy percentage is 5th among those guys. His third down completion percentage is last among those guys. So you do worry about the throw-to-throw accuracy and ball placement. And honestly, his process and anticipation over the middle of the field, I don't love it. I don't. I mean, you could go to the national championship game where he had an open Rome Odunze, or I think it was on 3rd down, may have been 4th down because it was like late in the game. But he had an open, I think it was Jalen Polk or Jalen McMillan, right there over the middle of the field to get the first down. I think that part of his game really needs some work. Some people might be worried about the injuries. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I'm not that concerned about it. He's had 2 very healthy seasons. If you're unaware, he had 4 years over at Indiana where he played either 5 to 6 games and then either suffered a shoulder injury that end of the year or an ACL. But he has 2 full years here at Washington, and word from the combine, it sounds like injuries are kind of a non-factor when it comes to his eval. So you love that. You really, really do. But I would kind of compare him to Geno Smith. This is another comp I feel like is kind of on the money, man. Like Geno Smith, we remember 2022 where he was just this deep ball machine where I think his adjusted completion percentage on passes 20 plus yards down the field was like 58%, which is just a ludicrous number. If you're around 50, you're probably good. But he was at 58%. You're like, yeah, that's not sustainable. But I feel like Penix is probably a similar mold as a Geno Smith. At number 5, I have the most contentious prospect on this list in JJ McCarthy out of Michigan, coming in at 6'3", 219 pounds. Apparently was playing at sub 200 at Michigan, but hey, combine weighted at 219. You're now 219 forever and always. Congratulations, JJ McCarthy. But I say contentious because a lot of people feel a lot of different ways about not necessarily JJ McCarthy, but where he should go in the draft. Because word is the NFL is a lot higher on JJ McCarthy than the general public. So they're talking about him going top 10. I honestly think top 12 to top 15 is the wheelhouse. Remember, since you play quarterback, you're going to get overvalued. You're probably going to get overdrafted. That's just the nature when it comes to quarterbacks and the NFL draft. It's the most important position on an NFL roster. If you could get that position right, that just holds so much value and means so much to your roster. So why does the NFL love JJ McCarthy? Well, the tools are tantalizing. They truly are. He has got a good arm. He throws with a lot of zip. Like you will see tight spirals and just lasers. The arm strength is nice. And you know what? The accuracy and arm strength on the move, they don't falter. He's good, just as good on the move as he is from a stagnant position. Stagnant? Static. That's the word I'm looking for. Static, like static electricity. And unlike some of the other prospects, I kind of brought this up when I was talking about Michael Pratt. He operates the middle of the field a hella well. He's pretty advanced in that regard. Like, I think there's probably only one other guy in my top 5 that I would say is pretty good at operating the middle of the field. And to be honest, McCarthy probably has better tools than that guy, but we'll talk about him in a second. And on top of that, he is just so dangerous as a runner, like legitimately. Like, he's a really good athlete. Like, and it's not just the ability to extend plays, but I mean, golly, he keeps his eyes downfield. Like, he can burn you with his feet, and then he can burn you with his arm on the move. But he like flips his hips so quick. Like, if he's rolling opposite, he can flip those hips quick, get planted, and just throw a dart. Just absolutely nice. The thing is, though, when it comes to this evaluation of JJ McCarthy, a lot of people are going to feel like it's incomplete because all of the quarterback prospects in this class have so much more experience. And on top of that, the games have kind of been put on those guys' arms. I can't really say that about JJ McCarthy. I don't feel like he's faced a lot of adversity during his last 2 years as a starter at Michigan. He's never really had the game on his shoulders just because he was blessed with a lot of talent around him. But that's not to say that he can't, because we've seen him make hella good throws. He has been a reason why Michigan's been able to get out to really big leads. So I don't want to say that if adversity were to strike, he wouldn't be able to do it. I'm not saying he's a guy that you can't put the game on his arm. I don't think that's the case. I just think maybe that's not a situation you want to necessarily put him in early. Like, if you were a bad team drafting him, you probably don't want to start him early. That's the thing. I think he needs needs a little bit more time in the oven. And I think that's fair. Like, we live in this now culture in the NFL where when you draft a rookie quarterback in the first round, he's your starter from day one. Unless you're the Packers, which, hey, looks like it's going to pay off potentially with Jordan Love. You saw a lot of promise there in the second half of the season and in the playoffs. And I don't think McCarthy is a guy you want to just throw out there to the Wolves. Like, look at what that does to a quarterback's confidence, especially if they don't do well. I mean, look at your Zach Wilsons, your Mac Jones. Hopefully that won't be the case for Bryce Young, who had a really rough rookie season. I think you're just... Yeah, I don't think it's to his benefit. I'm not saying you can't start him in year one. I'm just saying I don't think you should start him early in year one. Let him develop. Like, if I'm going to really nitpick something with him, because again, much of this is projection when it comes to his eval. You will notice on throws deep or outside, he'll occasionally be late, and he'll know he's late. So he'll try to put a little touch, put a little underneath. And that's not bad, honestly, towards the sidelines, but it's when it becomes deeper and deeper downfield. If you put too much underneath them balls, then you're just going to give defenders extra time to challenge or get to the catch point. So that was one thing I've noticed with his film. But like McCarthy, like, if you don't think he's a first rounder, that I don't get. The tools are there. They're tantalizing. If you think he shouldn't start early, I agree with that. I really do. Really do. At number 4, I have Bo Nix out of Oregon, coming in at 6'2", 217, and I could already hear the comment section. Listen, guys, Bo Nix at Auburn ain't the same as Bo Nix at Oregon. He has developed to be quite the nice passer. Like, the decision making from his time at Auburn to what it is now, it's completely different. It truly is. So whatever you think about Auburn Bo Nix, I want you to crumple that sucker up and throw it in the trash, because he's been a completely different player the last 2 years. You might want to take the Oregon opener, toss out one too, because the decision making wasn't great in there, and it vastly got better after that. But this year was a very good year for him, obviously throwing for over 4,400 yards, 45 passing touchdowns. Might not have like an elite arm or be an elite athlete, but I think he's got an NFL arm, and I think he can make most throws. But he's honestly at his best playing up-tempo, in rhythm. I just love the timing, the anticipation that he throws with, especially on the short to intermediate passes. He does a good job of manipulating defenders, whether it's with, showing them the eye candy or using head movement. He does a good job at that. And then he does bring that plus mobility. Again, not a burner as an athlete, but someone who can create with his legs. However, I know people are going to be concerned with the lack of him throwing the ball deep this past season. Be completely honest, he didn't have to throw it a lot this past season, but we've seen, just go to last year, even go to his years at Auburn. Like, he's a guy that's capable of making downfield throws. I'm not worried about the arm. It's just you might question his ability to consistently push the ball downfield. And I think, honestly, some of that stems from, like, his footwork could definitely use a little bit of touch up, because there are times where, he maneuvers the pocket well, he's real light on his feet, real toesy, and then he just goes to, like, cement shoes, and it's just a statue. A bit of an over-exaggeration, but I mean, I just think he doesn't always throw with a consistent base all the time. Another gripe, which this one I think is pretty fair, is he never really had to process the whole field this past season. And I think that's fair. He really only had to process half the field because Troy Franklin and Tez Johnson did such a good job getting open. Almost instantly, like his first or second reads, they're good to go. Let's do it. Let's send it. He was so good at getting the ball out and just getting it out on time. Like, dude, his average time to throw was 2.44 seconds. That is the lowest among anybody in this class. I think the only guy that came close was Austin Reed out of Western Kentucky, which that was basically an RPO heavy, screen heavy system. It had Malachi Corley there at Western Kentucky. Yeah, you want to get the ball in his hands quickly. So I think that's fair, but to say he can't do it just because he hasn't really needed to, I don't think it's fair either. We've seen this guy have to, like, come back, play under pressure. I mean, shoot. Unfortunately, lost to Washington twice this past year, but they were in those games. I mean, that was a team that was competing for the national championship, and Oregon pushed this team to the brink. So I'm not mad at it, man. Bo Nix, I think, is a really good prospect. Might not have the craziest upside, but I think he could be potentially a top 12 starting quarterback in the league, top 12 to top 15. Similar to, like, my comp here, I would say like a Dak Prescott. Some might love that one, some might hate that one, but I think it's a good comp. I really do. I think they got similar arm talent, and they're similar athletes, and just how they work the system and work the short to intermediate field. I think it's fair. At number 3, I have the Heisman Trophy winner himself, Jayden Daniels, coming in at 6'4", 210 pounds, and he was a walk-in highlight reel this past season. And a lot of that was because of what he could do with his feet, running for over 1,200 yards. He is just a rare threat with his legs for the quarterback position. And this was a big part what led me to my comp of Robert Griffin III, because both those guys obviously were scary as hell with what they could do with their legs. I mean, so much so, like Mike Shanahan, that's when he really started to incorporate RPOs during their time at Washington. I should just say the rookie year. But that's another thing, actually, that brings me back to this Robert Griffin comp. Jayden Daniels needs to do a better job of protecting his body as a runner, as a quarterback in general. Like, you got a slim build, yeah, you got to proceed with caution. You can't just be taking hits. Dude has a nice stiff arm, though. However, I don't think he does it. He doesn't have the arm strength of Robert Griffin. Robert Griffin could sling that football. Jayden Daniels relies a lot more on touch. Like, you will notice that he just doesn't quite have that zip in his passes. And when especially when he targets downfield, he relies a lot on anticipation and ball placement. And it all really came together in a nice way, which probably that's kind of maybe the biggest concern when it comes to Jayden Daniels is this year was such a large leap in his development and production that you might be concerned, is this a bit of an outlier? Because we've been watching this guy since his freshman season at Arizona State, where he was the starter. And yes, he's gotten better as a passer year by year by year by year, but this was such a big increase in production and development. You have to wonder, is this just an outlier? And I think that's fair. Because if I'm going to really critique some of the things that Jayden Daniels needs to get better at, it's going to come down to like how he sees the middle of the field. Like, really how he operates the pocket and sees the middle of the field. Because he was playing in Brian Kelly's quick passing game scheme, the RPO heavy, and there are times where you would just kind of see him be a bit conservative with the ball, hold on to the ball. I mean, his average time to throw, it was sub 3 seconds, which you like to see, but it wasn't. It was pretty close to that 3-second mark. And you gotta question, man, is he just not seeing open receivers? I think some of it was just him just misdiagnosing coverages pre-snap. But kind of piggyback off of that concern, like, can he consistently sit in the pocket and see a guy be open when he's not necessarily? Can he throw a guy open when he needs to? Because let's be honest, at the NFL level, separation is going to be a bit more scarce. It's going to be a bit more scarce, and those windows are going to be a hell of a lot tighter in the NFL. So is he going to be able to make those plays? Because you can't just do it with your legs time and time again. But again, this is a guy that has gotten better each and every season. So even if it's not what we saw in 2023, I feel good about him progressing year after year. So, like, all in all, man, I'm still a big fan of Jayden Daniels. On top of that, this guy's a phenomenal leader. He has just so much charisma there on the sidelines. Why wouldn't you want a guy like this on your team? At number 2, I have Drake Maye out of North Carolina, coming in at 6'4", 223 pounds, and just being a great athlete, runs in the family. He's got a pedigree. His dad played football at North Carolina. 2 of his brothers played basketball in North Carolina. His other brother won a national championship in baseball at Florida. So just being a great athlete, it runs in the family. And when it comes to like the quarterback position, Drake Maye has the ideal frame. He has ideal arm strength and arm talent. Like, this dude can push it downfield. He could put it on a rope. He can throw with touch. Like, honestly, some of his best passes, I know a lot of people will love the deep balls. Who doesn't? But I thought some of his best passes were in the red zone and in the back of the end zone, where you could really just see him like layer his throws. It was quite nice. He is capable of throwing dots. However, you go to his film, there's a lot more misses than you'd expect, and there's a few reasons for this. Part of that is just him being a tad late on some throws, so a tad late with his anticipation. Part of that is just him sticking on his first read for a little too long. I also think a part of that is he's a little toesy in the pocket. He doesn't consistently throw from a constant base. That'll lead to some inaccuracies. But at the end of the day, those are just some areas that he needs to develop. This guy has all the traits of a franchise quarterback. I ain't gonna Chris Sims this and be like, yeah, he looks more like a project to me. No, he's got them traits. That's why my comp for him is another guy we had all these questions about in the 2020 draft. And you know what? I think it's worked out for the Chargers. We'll see. A lot of what's going on with the Chargers, I don't think it's Herbert's fault. But we'll see. We'll see. End of the day, Drake Maye, I think, is a fabulous prospect. That's why he's number 3 on my big board. At number 1, surprising absolutely no one, it's Caleb Williams out of USC, coming in at 6'1", 214 pounds, and he just has special arm talent. He can make any and every throw you want him to make. He throws from a good base. He whips the hips, gets good rotation into his passes, and he can throw with that Dijon mustard. He puts good zip on the ball. He can throw on a rope, and even better, when on the move, his ball placement and accuracy does not falter. And despite what people may say, he can stay in the pocket. He can be patient. He can go through his reads. You can see that on tape. It's just unfortunately this season, a lot of that production went down. He is a big play hunter. That's just who he is. Sometimes it's like he's playing Madden, right? He's out there looking for the big play, and fortunately, it was really bad this year. And a lot of that had to do, well, with the USC defense. They allowed 35 points per game, 41 points per game in losses. And when you're in that situation, that need or that want for the big play turns into a need. Like, I have to get the big play or else my team's gonna be out of the ball game. And unfortunately, that it didn't pay dividends for Caleb this year. I know some people are gonna think that he can't play under pressure because he was one of the worst quarterbacks under pressure this year. But if you go to 2022, his Heisman season, he was one of the best players under pressure. What does that tell you? Under pressure is a volatile stat. If you want to evaluate a quarterback, look what they can do inside a structure from a clean pocket. That'll give you a better feel of what they can do on the throw-to-throw basis. At the end of the day, at least for me, Caleb Williams is in a completely different league compared to the rest of these quarterback prospects in this class. And I know some people will be worried about the on and off field antics of Caleb Williams. And I actually just did a video on that, so go ahead, check that sucker out. But largely, I think it's a bit overblown. If I'm the Chicago Bears, I'm more than happy taking Caleb Williams first overall. And when it came to getting a comp for Caleb Williams, I know a lot of people out there are going to put Patrick Mahomes, but I really like Donovan McNabb. Donovan McNabb was 6'2", 223 pounds coming out of Syracuse. And I do think Caleb Williams is a better athlete, but I think their game is very similar. So let me know what you think about that comp in the comment section below. If you want free agent content, check out these videos down here. But until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.